welcome back to the Aligned and Unstoppable podcast. This is all about how to not measure success because truthfully, I feel like we've all been sort of fed certain things, certain stories about what success is. And we have to really determine whether that is true for us. So in this episode, I'm going to dive into some of my biggest pet peeves. I should say that. So what's sort of like started this concept in my mind was I think I was on Instagram and I saw some people's titles or their websites that said, 7-figure coach, 8-figure coach, leading multiple 6-figure coach. And I found that to be, I guess, triggering, I would say in a good way, because for me, I saw some of these people and I'm like, oh my gosh, you're maybe so much more than just that. Maybe I see you as something better and you don't have to lead with that number. And I feel like I'm in the minority in that thought, because most notable, especially online entrepreneurs, are leading with these numbers, like exactly what I just said. And what that does is it kind of subconsciously programs us to say, oh, well, they're multiple 6, they're 7, they're 8. That equals success because I see money as a means of showing success, which that's not untrue, but it's also not the only part of the story. And so what I was really feeling is like, when we are only focusing on money and they're saying, well, I'm this entrepreneur and I made all this money and that means I'm successful. Then if you are an entrepreneur and you have not made that money, does that mean you're not successful? And I think this is a big problem. And I'm going to later talk about one of my coaching clients and around how she measured her success based on income pretty much solely. And I think we can all do this. So whether you are new in your entrepreneurial business or you have been at it for some time and you are actually at that multiple 7 or 8-figure threshold, I just have an invitation to really look at what is true for you. So, I just have to say the biggest triggering thing for me is like, if money is the only thing you're measuring your success on, that's why you're failing. If you're saying, well, I really want to make 6 figures, I really want to make 7 figures, and you're not, does that mean that you're failing? I don't think so. So as we know, there are plenty of people in the world, especially some of the big top name, highest paid mentors, online marketers that are really saying, I am a multi 7-figure business earner. We have to understand that while many of them may say, well, I had a 7-figure launch, I had $1 million launch. What you have to also understand is that it may have cost them $1.3 million to have that launch. And in many cases, because their launch is so ginormous, it absolutely 100% involved paid advertising. It involved a team. It involved contractors. It involved a whole lot of things that you might not even be thinking about to get to that 7-figure launch. I will say this, that top number that says, oh, I brought in $1 million for my launch, doesn't always go down the full line to the bottom number where we have to add up staff and contractors and systems and ads and all of those things. And what we find out is that a lot of these big name people, that these big launches that they have are actually not as financially successful as you might think. So this is where we have to really look at how we are comparing ourselves, because I know there are so many people out there, and especially when I was working with a lot of folks who are under 100K, that they're seeing these big mentors out there and they're like, oh my gosh, well, they just got, 3,000 people in their program. I just got 8. Oh, but you're not seeing the whole picture. And what I realized when I first started my online business was when I was comparing myself to other people, I wasn't seeing the whole picture. I would see, they have 50 million followers, maybe not 50 million, maybe 500,000. Okay. They might have 500,000. I might have 500, right? So we're not even in the same ballpark. But what I also saw, which was actually like, I'm really proud of my old self for this, was that when I would see like my Facebook Live stats and posts versus theirs, mine were so highly engaged. And in fact, some people were like, how do you even get these numbers? You have, at the time, maybe 4,000 followers, but I would get hundreds of comments and dozens of shares. And I had the engagement that maybe these big Goliath names didn't. And I mean, still to this day. And I think we can see these vanity metrics as these false gods. And so whether it's you're watching your follower count, download count, your dollars, you're comparing to yourself to other people, I would invite you to stop. Because we have to understand the top line is so different from the bottom line. And it's really doing all of us a disservice to think that it's like somehow comparable. We see that our business has all these little bells and whistles in it. Well, theirs has all that times 10, right? So like I said, $1 million launch might not even be profitable. So even if you're crying about only having 8 people joining your new program, but you ran no ads and you're a solopreneur, you have no staff, you didn't work with any contracts, it was just you, those 8 people are 100% yours. That's cash in hand. That's all yours. So comparatively, you might have maybe a higher conversion rate. You might have, I don't know, like a small list of people, everyone says yes, right? So we have to stop comparing ourselves. And I also have said this, is that, and I've said this on other podcasts as well, is that people who are saying they're multiple 6, 7-figure entrepreneurs, what they're also not saying to you on the outside surface level, they might be saying in their private mastermind groups. And so I had the pleasure of being in some very high level masterminds, and sadly, the truth comes out in those spaces. And I remember one person in particular that they were a coach that was saying, hey, follow these systems and I'll help you to create multiple 6 figures the way that I have. Well, what they had shown, or what they had revealed in this private group, was that they had owed over $200,000 in back taxes. So for me, if I'm a prospective client, you're saying I make, multiple 6 figures, but I owe multiple 6 figures, I am not interested in learning those strategies. No, thank you. And frankly, what we do is we try to replicate other people's strategies and systems that leave us feeling depleted, feeling stuck, feeling broke, feeling like a failure, or like, why is this costing me so much? Why is it taking so much time? Well, because they're not telling you all the parts of it. That's why. They're not telling you it's going to take you weeks to learn this system. They're not going to tell you, you're going to build this funnel, but it's going to take months to test it. And then you're going to have to change it. And like, it's going to take some time. So if you're trying to teach me strategies that are keeping you broke, I'm a hard pass. It leaves you feeling like you're spinning your wheels. It leaves you feeling like you're a failure. And we can look at 7-figure entrepreneurs, and this is an invitation, like, take a look. The next time somebody's like, I'm a multiple 6, I'm a 7, I'm an 8. Actually, I don't know if I see a lot of 8-figure entrepreneurs. Now that I'm thinking about it, I don't know if I've seen a lot of 8-figure entrepreneurs leading with that. But what I was gonna say is, I would invite you to feel into your body, feel into your system when they are leading with multiple this and 7-figure that. How does it feel in your body? Does it feel true to you? And we can do muscle testing, certainly, but just notice, do you feel like they're running a business in alignment? Does it appear that they are like creating these super curated posts and videos, and they have a huge team and they have a ton of overhead? Like, is that what you want? Or maybe not. And so we have to look at, are they running a business in alignment? And do they have the freedom to make transitions in their business, or are they kind of stuck to the same model year after year? And do I want to be like them? I know that when I was first shopping years ago for a mastermind to be a part of, I remember interviewing different coaches and sort of seeing what was the right fit for me. And at the time, somebody said, well, if you look at these people, like, do they live a lifestyle that you want to live? And I remember pretty fast, a couple of them, I was like, oh, no, not at all. Or that they were run by, men that had no children or were single. And I'm like, how in the world are they going to know what my life is like? And I don't necessarily want to emulate theirs. I don't know if we can relate to one another. So I would invite you, when you're looking to invest in a coach, a mentor, a course, a program, whatever it is, even just following somebody on social, does it feel like that person is in alignment, in integrity? Does it feel like they are somebody who you want to emulate that lifestyle? It's as simple as that. So I also want you to define, what is success for you? This is a really big question. So this is a great journaling prompt that you can just write. What is success for me? And me personally, success looks like time in nature every day. It looks like having time to spend with friends and family, time off that is guilt-free. And I don't have to worry about, taking my computer and just locking it down at my house when I go away. Time to see my kids and taking them to activities or creating, fun play dates together. Having weekends off and eating fresh foods is a really important part of my own life and success. I also had the freedom to change my offerings at my will and if I desire. I also have the freedom financially to make investments should I want to. And so the way that I measure success is I look at these different variables. I am not saying I am only successful because I have X dollars in the bank or I brought in X dollars this year. And our finances can change. They can fluctuate. I mean, the world around us is changing. I have stayed very steady in my finances, even with all of the global changes. And I don't tend to share them because, first of all, I think it's nobody's business but mine. But I also feel like it can be a negative. Like if people think, oh, well, she's at this level, so she's not accessible now. We make our own stories up about people, right? I can't tell you how many people have reached out to me who are podcast fans and they're like, oh my gosh, I just have to tell you, this is so great. And they're so shocked when I reply and say, thank you. It's like we idolize people and we put them on this little pedestal, and it's kind of silly, right? And we do that with people's money as well. So I want to share a story about a client I had recently, and she signed up for a VIP day, and we just had the initial intake, which was like a half an hour. And one of the things that she was talking about was, the stagnation in her income and that she had sort of inconsistencies month to month. Now, I see this constantly, right? If this is you, listen up. Okay. So she had inconsistencies. And I said, so listen, let's just today, right now, I would invite you to make $100. So I don't care how you make it. You could sell some furniture or you could put yourself out there in your business. And so she immediately was like, I could do this, 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 and this. And she listed off like 5 different ideas, which I wrote down. And I said, okay, so let's look at this $100 as though your children's lives depend on it. And I know that it gets a little serious, a little heavy when I say that, but there's a reason. And the reason why I invite you to make it that serious is because I don't know the statistics. I just say a lot. Okay. A lot of entrepreneurs stay stuck and stagnant because they're simply not prioritizing their money. They're not making it a priority. They're saying, well, it could just, I'm just not manifesting money right now. And it's very passive. And it's almost like you're a victim to your circumstances of not making money. But we can change that because abundance is truly all around us. And as I was talking to her about making that $100, Spirit gave me this really adorable metaphor. because she has kids. I have young kids too. So what they showed me was this little Play-Doh fun factory. So we all are familiar with that, right? You take the Play-Doh, you work it in your hands, you squish it up, and then you put it into this device, and then you press down on the lever, and out come, Play-Doh noodles in the shape of maybe hearts or something, or just really little stringy noodles. So our money is the same way. You don't just get the noodles. They don't just come out of the Play-Doh fun factory. Somebody has to put some work in, put some effort in, and then apply pressure and energy, and then the noodles come out. So if you are in your business going, I don't know, I'm not making any money, it's kind of like I have inconsistent months, I need you to stop right there. Because the only person who is responsible for making money in your business is you. And so look at what you are doing. I've had people also say, well, I'm doing everything and nothing's working. Well, what are you doing that is working? Because if you tell me you're doing 10 different things to promote yourself and to share and to email and to do things and nothing is working, the definition of insanity is to continue doing those things over and over again and expecting a different result. We have to just use common sense. Like if you're trying to post your podcast directly onto LinkedIn and no one's clicking, it's because the platform doesn't want you taking people off of LinkedIn. It's not because your podcast sucks and nobody wants to listen to it. If no one's buying your programs because you're putting the link in your Instagram post, it's because that's not how the platform works. And you also should not be sending people off of Instagram. They don't like that. So they're going to hide your posts on the algorithm, the way that things are shown, right? We have to know how these social platforms work so that we can do the thing that we want to do with them, right? We just tend to blame our efforts like, oh, it didn't work, nothing works, so no one's buying. That is such a cop-out, okay? So what I did was I invited her to make that money. And, the investment with me was 4 figures. So basically she wanted to make up that money and then some, right? And what happened was I said, listen, I want you to go do this thing, make $100 and then send me a message back. Let me know what you did, how it went. The next day I followed up and I said, hey, you were supposed to message me. What happened? She said, well, mom life. Okay. That's an excuse. Okay. I have kids too, but also if you're working with a coach short-term, like priorities, right? But what she did say was, you know what? I did this, this, and this, and I didn't make any sales yet. But I'm thinking that the person I was talking to in DMs, I'm going to follow up with them today and see what's going on. And I said, okay, great. But can you try telling me that again, but leave out the part that you didn't make any sales? I want you to celebrate the innovation. I want you to celebrate action taking. Again, we talk about our success is only measured by the money, but what about all the new stuff that you did? We need to create these little neural connections in our brain that say, I did something different. Yay, reward. Okay. This is part of what success is for me. So within 24 hours, she got back to me after that little check-in and she said, what's so crazy is that when she first booked her VIP day with me, this random, I use air quotes, this random person reached out to her to book a call. She did this call. The person ended up making a 4-figure investment with her. And she's like blown away. She's like, I can't even believe it. She's like, I know this happens to you all the time. I said, yeah, it does. So I don't have a look of surprise on my face. This is just what happens. What happened was that I had an offering. You said yes from a place of your higher self. And you said, listen, I'm going to take it up a notch. Your higher self said yes. And then it said, all right, now I got to make this money back. I'm going to do this in an aligned way. And so your energy attracted that. It said, okay, great, let's do that. So you attracted the right person who is going to be able to make that investment with you. And what was so cool is that she literally made her investment with me back within 24 hours of just our initial call. We literally didn't even have the VIP day yet. It was just the initial check-in. And so this is also the value of working with a coach like me that, can see your blind spots and just invite you to do very simple things to start cranking the money in. And so I would like to invite you for another journaling prompt, which is, how else am I being successful today? How else am I being successful today, right? Like if it's maybe the money's not coming in, but there's plenty of other stuff that you're doing today. And so I want to share this is that just a little bit more personal about me is that, again, I don't share about my money. And I will say, I'm not going to share my exact numbers, but I will say this: at the end of 2021, I was a fine hair away from hitting a large milestone. And this milestone would have basically rendered me available to join a high level 7-figure mastermind. And in that time frame, I realized that I was feeling heavy. I was feeling out of alignment with some of the programs that I was doing. And it felt like it was a lot of work and energy that I was devoting to that. And I was just like, it wasn't feeling right for me. And so I made a conscious choice to say, this is no longer feeling in alignment with me. I'm going to stop, because I don't want to keep doing things just to make the money. And I will tell you, if I kept doing those programs, I would have for sure crossed that big milestone, for sure. No question. And so we have to look at alignment versus our ego. Because my ego was like, oh, that feels so good. Then I can say that thing that I got. And I'd be qualified for this big mastermind. And I'd be able to hang out with like the big kids, right? And everything in me was like, no, no, it will come. It will come. But it's not going to come like this. And so the old me used to have to prove myself. I remember the old me was proving myself to get into the cool club at 6 figures. And when I got into the cool club at 6 figures, I was still proving myself. And I was still like feeling like I didn't belong. And I was still feeling like, do I even deserve to be at this table? And I am happy to say that I am worthy to be at any table I want, simply because I want to be there, not because I have to earn a certain dollar amount to prove myself and my worthiness of being there. And I caught myself really in that little, well, if I hit that threshold, then I could go into the other group. And I caught myself there, and I'm like, oh, I am not playing this game again. No, it ends badly for everybody is really how it looks. And so I know I'm no longer available for proving myself. Now, I will say this one last thing is that there is a reason why there is a 6-figure mastermind and a 7-figure and an 8-figure mastermind. And it's because there's a different level of sophistication of technology, of strategy, and there's sort of like a commonality, a common theme when you can get to those levels. And I would say that is the only reason why we measure that, because if you are functioning at a 7-figure level, chances pretty good that you have a lot of experience with systems, processes, teams, advertising, different innovative strategies. Like, you've got a lot of insights that perhaps somebody who's under 6 figures would know nothing about. Now, see there, that's why there's the difference. Okay. So the final thing I want to end with is I want you to get really aligned with your core values. What is it for you? And I want you to align to those daily. So like I said, for me, it's nature, it's family, downtime. I don't typically work more than 25 to 30 hours a week. I have plenty of space to play with friends and, do all kinds of travel if I want to. And I will say this, I have never met somebody who is living their best life in full alignment, feeling their best, vibrant, who is not also financially wealthy and successful. I really haven't. If you start with living your life in an aligned state, saying yes to what your higher self is asking, everything else will start to line up for you as well. And so it doesn't work the other way around. Some people are believing, oh, you have to have this financial abundance first, and then everything else, then you can get, whatever the thing that Tony Robbins jumps into, and it's like a freezing cold ice bath, right? And get the infrared sauna and get, like, I don't know, all the different toys and gadgets. You can get that for sure, but you can also create the space to live in your best alignment today. And so I would just invite you, look at what is success for you and what is alignment for you. And no matter what anybody else is teaching or preaching at you, you have to come back into center. So I hope you enjoyed this week's episode. I hope it helped you to look at the way that people position themselves and the way maybe you're positioning yourself, and perhaps, demystify some of the stuff that is kind of kept hush hush or behind the closed doors. So let me know. Either comment below if you're watching on YouTube, or hit me up in my Instagram DMs. Let me know, what are your core values? What is success to you? What are you now available to measure your success with? I would love to hear from you. And thank you so much for being a podcast listener. Make sure you follow the podcast, subscribe on your favorite listening platforms, and I will see you every other Tuesday for new episodes. See you soon. Lots of love.